Hello, replay viewers. Let me just get this oriented. I don't know if you guys have the same thing here, but occasionally when I started in landscape mode, and hi. So I just wanted to jump on and give some updates, and I've decided that maybe it's time for me to give a nice update scope for what it is that I plan on doing with my Europe trip in just less than 2 weeks' time. Welcome, Louise. So this first 5 or 10 minutes is going to be for new people. It's going to be for newbies, people that have never heard of my trip. I don't think it's fair for you to listen to a 25 to 30 minute scope trying to figure out what it is that's going on, because a good portion of this scope is going to be for updates, or I'm sorry, for open chat. So the first 5, maybe 10 minutes, depending on if there's any interruptions, I'm just going to update you on what it is that I'm doing, and if you have an interest in it, then you could follow me, you can follow along on the trip, and you can be a part of the discussion later on. So if you're new and you're wondering what's going on, then I'm only asking for 5 minutes of your time, and you'll be completely updated by then. At the end of that 5 minutes, I will share my contact information. I have an information sheet. It's basically all the ways you can get a hold of me on social media, and you can ask any questions from there. And from that, if you want to continue listening, fine. It's gonna be a longer scope, maybe 30 minutes. But after 5 minutes, you have a better feel. So we'll dive right in. What is going on? I'm going to Europe. I'm going to specifically Germany, Italy, and Switzerland. The reason that Switzerland's not in the title is because I'll be going through Switzerland. So I'm landing in Stuttgart, Germany, which is in the southwestern corner of Germany, and I'm going to drive to Rome. And what I'll do is I'll scope that all the way along the way. So Switzerland happens to be along the way, and I'm going to be going through the Swiss Alps. So I will be scoping Switzerland. However, I will not be staying in Switzerland any particular days. I'm only going through Switzerland. So I will not continue to have it in the. I'll continue to not have it in the title. However, I will be scoping some of Switzerland. So along the way to Rome, I will stop in Milan, Italy. I'll stop there for a few days. And what I've been having for the past week or so is open chats for suggestions on places to go and things to see in Milan, Italy. That's what typically these open chats have been, and that's what they're going to continue to be. Welcome. So with those open chats, we just talk about things that are interesting in Milan, things that maybe people want to see in Milan, and that's what's going to be the next scope that you'll see from me. Then I'll go to Rome. I'll be in Rome for about a week. I'm also going to continue to have open chats on Periscope just about what people are interested in Rome and what people like in Rome. And on the way up, I'm going to stop in Verona, Italy. Or that'll be the third destination in Italy that I stop. And then on the back end of my trip is when I'll do all my German scoping. So I'll scope Heidelberg, Germany, I'll scope Stuttgart, Germany, and I may scope one other place, but I'll mention that later. So that's where I'm going. Those are the places that I'll be stopping. Those are the places you can expect to see in my scopes, and those are things that I'm going to guaranteed share. And of course, there's going to be things along the way that may come up. So that's just the updates for that. This is particularly for newbies, people that don't know what's going on. I've had a couple people watching my replays. If you're one of those, then I understand that you've already heard this stuff before. Another thing, when I'm going in 2 weeks. I know I've already mentioned that, but I just want to make it clear. I will be going in 12 days. 12 days time I'll land, and I'll be there for 2 weeks. And I'll scope every day. So the reason I want to scope it, the reason I think it may be interesting is that, even right now, I've looked at the map. I continue to look at the map. There are some people scoping in Europe. There are some people scoping in Germany, some in Italy. But what we don't find a lot of is a lot of English-speaking people in those parts. This is my third trip to Europe. I've been to all of these destinations before, so I'm hoping to be able to share a little bit of information, a little bit of perspective, and also to share an American's perspective, an outsider's view. It's not that our perspective is any better than the next. However, a local may be, once you become used to something, you become a little bit, rigid towards it. So maybe there's some things that are interesting to an outsider that aren't interesting to a local. So I thought just being an outsider and being someone that speaks English, that it may be nice to share these places with people, particularly people that haven't been to these destinations. So one thing that I wanted to mention in this update is how to get a hold of me. I've been in social media for over a decade. However, I write my slate clean in recent times to separate public and private. So what I've come to realize is not everyone wants to see your family life. So I have a public social media presence, and it's going to be all under this name, and I have a private one. So with that, I've started over. But in the past, the way I've always communicated best is through Instagram. Facebook and Twitter have never really been an interest to me, just due to the fact that I didn't really think there was a lot of quality material on those two avenues. I didn't find a lot of people saying a lot of good things. I didn't really find it to hold any true value to me. So usually what I have been used to and what I continue to be used to is I'll post a picture on Instagram related to whatever it is I'm doing or whatever it is that's of interest at the time, and I'll make a comment on it. That's going to continue on this trip. The truth is I can't scope everything. I'm going to try to scope as much as I possibly can, but for example, I'll be in Rome for a week's time. I can't just turn on the camera 24 hours a day. So what I will do is maybe if I'm at a destination and I don't have the time or the ability to scope it, I'll take a picture of it and I'll caption it and I'll open the discussion from there. So if maybe it's something you do want to see live, or if it's something that you have an opinion about, you can comment right on my Instagram. And like I said, I'll have that information right there on my information card in just a moment. So Instagram's been a staple for me. Another little fun fact: some people a few of the followers that I have now have noticed this, because I've seen them follow me on Instagram as well. A lot of times when I make a scope, I will take a picture of wherever it is or whatever it is I'm doing at the time. Even though I'm in my room right now, last week I posted a picture of the flowers in my room just so people can know where to reference. And you'll also start seeing the hashtag Eurotrip3Prep, because this is my third trip to Europe. That's just due to the fact that I have a catch page. That'll be another place you can find out more about this trip. You can go to my catch page, which will be on my information card, and I've created a folder with Eurotrip3Prep, and I've started hashtagging these photos or these videos so that they would go straight to that folder. So any questions or any just things that maybe you want to see, they'll be hashtagged the same. I also hashtag them same in Instagram just to keep the consistency, so you know that it falls in that category. So you can always get on my Instagram. You can find current photos. You're going to find photos of stuff that I could not scope. You'll also find a discussion going on there. With that being said, I do have a Twitter, but with me just restarting, there's very few people following me, and I'm following very few people. So you can contact me on Twitter, and I encourage it, but it hasn't been my go-to route. So maybe we can get that. Maybe it can become my go-to route. So if you contact me, I do check it every day. I will respond. So that's just a couple things that are kind of very important to me, just because Instagram is the staple for me. Another little small thing with that in mind, I mentioned if I can't scope something, I'll put it on Instagram. Just to give you guys an idea of what I mean when I say I'll scope Italy and Germany, I'll scope at least 3 times a day. This will be at least 3 times a day. And I'll talk a little bit later on in this scope about the format and how often and how long. But I do plan to scope at least 3 times a day. And the rest will be on Instagram. Welcome. The guys that are in the chat right now, if you have a question about this trip, if you want to be a part, it is an open chat. So feel free to interrupt and throw a question out there. But I made a promise at the beginning of the scope that I would give updates to the new people in 5 minutes time, so they don't have to watch the entire scope to get updates. So I'm just finishing those updates. Open chats will continue from now until then. What I've been having, Italy, Germany, no France while you're on the trip. I was in France last year. Unfortunately, I can't drop by this year, unfortunately. The plane tickets, I got a good deal. I got about $1,300 US. I bought them in January, so I think now they've rised a little bit. Sometimes you can get them cheaper. For NASA. Yes, I remember looking up for NASA the other day. It's something that I look forward to. So, actually, I think someone in here has been in my chats before. I will have open chats, and I will have them often and frequently, and I will have them. I was up to like 6 open chats in one day last week. And what I'll do is I'll title them based off the city that I'm interested in talking about. So I'll talk about Milan. I'll talk about Stuttgart, Germany. I'll talk about Rome. I'll talk about Verona. And we'll just have these open chats. It's just me. I'll update you in the beginning, and we'll have an open chat. And I'll just leave the camera on. Even if no one's there, I'll leave it on for about a half hour. And so far, I haven't been left alone for a half hour. But that's what I'll do. So I'll continue these open chats from now until my trip. I mean, until the day I leave. So these open chats will continue to happen. So those are the quick updates. If you're one of the people that watched from the beginning just to get updates on this trip, I just wanted to give you a short idea about what it is I'm doing, how it is that I'm doing it, and just why that I'm doing it. So that's I'm going to plug, as promised, I will plug my information, because if you're only looking to get updates and you don't want to watch a 30-minute scope or however long this goes on, then you could stop from here. So you're informed, you know what's going on. If you have questions, if you don't understand something, just get a hold of me on Twitter. Get a hold of me on Twitter. I'm not going to put a picture up about this scope, so you could just tweet me and see whatever it is. So as promised, I'm going to plug my information. If you're one of the couple of people that are live right now, just one moment. I'm only going to plug this for a second, and I'll continue the talk. So this is how you get a hold of me. Oh, I've gotten out of it. This is how you get a hold of me, and I've been saying in the beginning here that most of the time I will post a picture on Instagram, but I also have a Flickr, a Catch for all my scopes, a Twitter, and an About Me. If you don't want to write any of this down, or if you don't really care, you can go to my About Me. My About Me has everything that you need to know. It even has links to some of my social media. So you can just go to my About Me. You'll notice that my name is the same on all of them as Joshua229. However, it's not always possible to continue that, so what I've done is 229T for Twitter, I for Instagram, F for Flickr, so you'll start to see some consistency there. So that's my information. I'll plug it now, and I'll plug it at the end of the chat. So that's just how you get a hold of me. Like I said, get a hold of me on Twitter if you want to be a part of the discussion. That's the end of the short updates. Now, just for the open chat and for the discussion to continue, I just wanted to share a little bit more detailed information about the trip. And I know I have a couple live viewers now. Shoot the questions out, like I said before. Just some updates, and this is particularly for the replay viewers, because I do have some people that are following along this, but particularly on replays. I mentioned in one of my previous open chats that I was sort of going through the U.S. government to get a known traveler number. And what that basically means is we have very strict guidelines at our Travel Security Administration. And, that's when you go through the airports. We have very strict guidelines. And what I've done is I've volunteered for them to do a thorough background check and assess if they think that I'm I suppose, like a threat. They do a threat assessment on me. And I've done that for my wife and myself. And one of the cool things that happened over this past weekend was both of our known traveler numbers came through. So it'll be a little easier for us to travel this time around. This is the first time that I'll be able to travel with a KTN. And the whole purpose is just to make the transition in the airport a little more smooth. Now, if you are American and you're watching this and you're thinking known traveler number sounds cool because you don't want to go through all those lines, what it means is you have to take your belt off, you don't have to take your shoes off, you don't have to take your liquids or laptops out of your bags. It just makes that security line a little bit better. The one exception, the one thing you have to keep in mind, though, is that the TSA has the ability and the right to randomly select anyone to go through regular screening. So even with their known traveler number, they can still make me go through regular screening, and that's something you have to accept. So I have this KTM, but I can't just tell them, no, I won't go through regular screening. So if they inform me I'm going through regular screening when I get to the airport, then that's just the way it is. So, but anyway, we've been waiting for about over a week for my wife's KTN, and we finally got my wife's KTN, so that'll be nice. Where in Italy are you going? I'm actually going to go to Milan, Italy, Rome, Italy, and Verona, Italy. Those are the three places. You can continue saying Glasgow. It's not going to make any more sense. Glasgow, Italy. No, I'm not going to Glasgow. I'm only stopping those three places. So the primary purpose is to go to Rome. And I just so happen, I'm driving from southwest Germany, and I'm stopping in Milan on the way down, and then on the way up, I'm stopping in Verona. So that's why I go to Milan or Verona, is just because there's stops along the route. The primary focal point is going to be Rome. You can't go to Glasgow, Italy. I'd have to look up where Glasgow is anyway. How much is the whole... I haven't calculated. That's great. I didn't know where Glasgow was in the first place, buddy. Food and everything, if you count the tickets were about $2,600 for myself. I got to count my wife and I. I would say the trip's about $5,000. That sounds about right. Well, that's okay. It's just an informal term here in the U.S., so everybody's buddy. Couple things here. Other updates that I've gotten. I also said in that's you're really not contributing to the conversation. So I mean, I can call you Jack, but Jack, if you want to stay, you gotta contribute to the conversation other than just saying, buddy, buddy, buddy. So how about I call you Jack, you contribute to the conversation. So no, 5,000 for the couple. So I think about 2,600 for the trips, and then I think about twice that, just about twice that to eat, hotels, and I did rent a car this time around just because I'm taking my in-laws. And these are updates again for replay viewers because I've been talking about this in previous chats. Well, I'm sorry, Jack. It's, you just have to go troll somewhere else. All right. Well, I guess Jack gets to go talk to somebody else. So these are updates for, like I said, replay viewers, people that have been a part of these other discussions. I have my in-laws. They will be going. They will be going with me. I know that about a week ago, I found out that there may be some complications with them going, and I shared with you guys that sort of the purpose of this particular trip is to show them as much as I can of Germany and Italy. So that kind of put a damper on my trip, and also was problematic because I'd already booked, a vehicle for 4 people. I booked hotel rooms for 4 people. I'd done everything for 4. So this past weekend, I was able to sit down with them, and we discovered that everything's right on track, and that they're going to be able to go with us. So all of that's gonna work out the way that I wanted it to. So that's the updates for that. I actually, not in one of the open chats, it's kind of weird, but I ran into someone this past weekend that's from Germany, and they were from where was it? It's Western Germany. They were from Dusseldorf, and I asked him for a suggestion on a prepaid SIM carrier, and he actually gave me a good suggestion. It's called Constar. And Constar runs off of the Telekom Mobile Network, or Deutsche Telekom, and they actually have pretty good prices. I looked them up right there on the spot, and I looked at it, and that might be my prepaid carrier over there. So I do have unlocked, my iPhone 6s Plus is unlocked, and so is my 6s. So I intend to get a local SIM so that it'll be a little easier to do scopes without having to rely on Wi-Fi. So it was nice to get that suggestion. It didn't happen here on Periscope, although I've had a lot of chats about this trip. It just happened out of sheer coincidence. I just ran into him, and he was nice enough to start, supplying me with some information. Things we did get from the chats. I got 3 good suggestions from my chats the past couple weeks. Welcome. I'm just giving updates to the replay viewers about my trip to Europe in a couple weeks' time. Feel free to shoot out any questions, though, even though I'm giving updates. Hello. So you can just shoot out questions if you have about it. Other than that, I'm just going to keep rolling on with updates so that we can get to the meat of discussing. So some other suggestions I have gotten from Periscope in general in the past week's time. I got an update or a suggestion for Germany. Someone suggested that maybe I should go to the Swanstone Castle or Newstone Castle. I've heard both names. I think Newstone is the proper. That, if you don't know, is in southern Germany. I think it's right outside of Munich. I believe it's in Bavaria still. But it's the castle that Walt Disney World mimicked when they made their castle at their main park, Magic Kingdom. So I thought that it's only an hour's drive from where I'm going. That I'm very jealous that she's been there since February. I've been twice already. This is my 3rd trip. That's why the hashtag is Eurotrip3Prep. I'm quite jealous of that. That's a great thing. What part of Europe is she in? While she's answering that, another suggestion I got was Milan. There's apparently a FIFA stadium in Milan. I may go see that. That was a suggestion that came from a Scope chat. And one other one, I got a good suggestion from a local in Rome. He hasn't joined any of my other chats, and he doesn't scope. Although I did follow him, he doesn't scope. He has no other followers. But I'm hoping he'll jump into another chat because I followed him. I asked him, with Rome being such a tourist destination, where is it that locals enjoy? And he was nice enough to share to me that there's a district in Rome called the EUR district, the EUR district. I would suppose that's how they pronounce it. And he says that that's really where the locals think is like the beauty of the city, outside of the destinations that we know as tourists. And I shared with him a story. I've actually been to the EUR district but it was on accident. I was looking for an Apple store the second trip that I went there. That was my last trip. And when I landed, I needed to go to an Apple store. So I went to the end of, he said it was the oldest transit in Rome. I went to the end of this line, and I still had to walk 2 miles, or like 3 and some change kilometers, just to get to the mall, because I refused to use a taxi. And so apparently I had walked completely through this district without really knowing the true beauty of it. So I thought that was kind of ironic, a little bit humorous to me, and I may actually return to that district now that I've been told by a local that that's really where they feel the beauty is. So hopefully he can join some more chats and tell me more about that. So that's updates. These are updates for people that have watched my previous scopes. A lot of those updates make sense if you know what's going on already. Make zero sense if you're new. So I still have one line. She was in London, Paris, Italy, Sicily, and one of those islands off the coast. That sounds like a dream trip. That sounds like a dream trip. I was in Paris last year myself, and I've been to Italy. This will be my 3rd trip to Italy, and I've yet to be to Sicily. So I'm quite jealous. I'm quite jealous. Left last night for Morocco. This sounds like is this a personal trip or a work related trip? This sounds like a dream trip. That sounds too good to be true. Personal trip? Wow. How long will she be on the road? How long will she be on the road? In Europe. That's great. I'm going personal. That happens. That happens sometimes. Sometimes people get... Is she from the U.S. or she just was living here? Yeah? Which part of the U.S.? Alabama also. Well, I'm in Alabama now because my university's in Alabama. I go to grad school for teaching. Well, that's great. That's really great. That's good. That could be it sounds like a dream trip. I look forward to going to some of those places myself in the future. But as I mentioned at the beginning of this, the main purpose of this trip, I've actually been to all of these destinations before, is to show my in-laws. I'm married. I'm going to take my father and mother-in-law to these places that I've already been. She's born and bred and fled in Mountain Brook. I have no idea where Mountain Brook is. However, I am sitting in front of my computer. Let's see where this Mountain Brook is. Outside of Birmingham. Okay. You know, I've been at this university town for 5 years, and I just went to Birmingham for the first time this year. Well, that's cool. That's really great, and I'm glad she had the gall to get up and go. A lot of people don't. So, that's really good stuff. Does she have social media presence? I know not everybody in that generation does, but she has an Instagram. This sounds like the most interesting Instagram at the moment. I have to jump on and see some of these pictures. Other updates. I actually made a list because this scope has so many updates. So I'm going to continue on as we're a part of this discussion. I'll jump back and forth. It's okay. I can do that. I'm a teacher. I'm used to sidetracking. Formats of scope while travel. That's the last update that I had. I just want to set the expectation. Yes, I do like soccer or football for the rest of the world. Which is why I may go to that stadium in Milan. Just because it was a FIFA stadium. Bayern. Oh, I don't know. What do you mean by Bayern? What's the context of this question? So just updates of what I plan on doing when I scope when I travel. I will scope every morning. Who's your favorite team? I don't follow it enough to have a favorite team. I just like watching it. So I'm not fan loyal. If I turn on the TV, which I don't turn on often, and it's there, then I will watch it. And particularly, I like watching the World Cup just because everybody's so energetic about what's going on. Oh, wow. It's a morbid topic, but it's great. We are certainly entitled to your opinion, but if you're going to jump in someone's scope, you should put the context. Maybe like Germany blows semicolon and maybe explain why. At the 16th Street Chapel. Blows at soccer. Oh, that's better. I like context. I don't know. I don't follow a team in particular. I just like the sport. Earth Day is coming up the end of this week. However, if you tap the screen where there's usually hearts, there will be a nice little globe. It's actually quite cool. I can't tap my own screen, I would show you. Four Spirits, look up. That's what she does. Four Spirits. If you're new to scoping, there's certain hashtags there you go, there's a globe. There's certain hashtags that are specific to what's going on. There's an Easter one. There was an Easter one, and there's one for New Year's. There's one for Chinese New Year's. So that hashtag has to do with the globe that pops up. Now the other hashtag, Eurotrip 3 Prep, is for my catch page. Any video that I do that's caught with that hashtag will go into a specific folder on my catch. So that's my personal hashtag. 1 second. It looks like I need to go pick up my wife. She needs a ride. So that's okay. I went 10 minutes over what I expected to. I'm going to cut this. I'm going to finish this off by finishing the expectations for the format of the scoping. Every day I will scope a coffee scope in the morning. I drink coffee every morning. It's just the perfect time for me to reflect on what happened the previous day, to give some updates, and to also try to update you on what it is that I'm doing that day. I plan on doing an afternoon update. So I want to do a morning update and an afternoon update. So if I can't, let me stop China Russia from polluting. Well, you'd have to stop the U.S. from polluting first before we can try to fix other people's problems. So I plan on doing an afternoon update. The reason being is it may not always be possible to scope every destination that I go to. And I said in the beginning, I'll put pictures on Instagram and continue the discussion there if I can't scope it. But I want to be able to do an afternoon update to tell you where I've been and where I'm going. And morning updates to reflect on the previous day. So some of them are going to be short and some of them are going to be long. The reason they'll be short is if it's something that's new to me. Maybe I'm sharing it for the sole purpose of just showing you, hey, this is new. I'll watch the replay and get that website. I actually looked up Four Spirits. I see it on my browser here. However, I need to finish this. I need to finish this update because I need to go. But I always watch my replay, so I'll catch that website on the replay. So that some of them are going to be short if it's something new and I didn't plan on scoping it. I'll do a 5 to 10 minute scope just to show you something that I've never seen before. Also, I'll do short scopes to do updates. So if I tell you I'm going somewhere and I end up not going somewhere, then what I'll do is I'll just do a short scope to kind of update you guys, let you know how my plans have changed and what's going on. Longer scopes are going to be planned destinations. I know for sure there are certain places that I will scope, and I'll scope them for about a half hour apiece. And also in those scopes, you can expect a little bit of information about what it is you're looking at, and also the context in which I'm traveling to it or visiting it, and how it fits into the bigger picture. So on the long ones, you can get a little bit more information. On the short ones, it's just going to be more about updates or something that I'm seeing that's new. So, Idris, I'm on my way out. So I know that's a long scope just for updates, but it needed to happen. I needed to have it. It needed to be there. And what's going to end up happening is I'm going to reference people to this scope. So if I'm in these chats I'm going to have these chats. I'll have one in about an hour about the city and the destinations, and people are asking a lot of questions about the trip. I'm going to reference them to my catch page for this update scope. So that's what the purpose of this was, and I got all the updates out there. It was quite a long list. For the one I've been chatting with, I will check your mom out. I already have her on my Google here, and I'll watch the replay for the actual website. So I appreciate you sticking around and contributing, talking a little bit, and showing me something new. I will show my information one more time, specifically for the replay viewers. If you're live, you can hit the follow button. But these are the ways you can get a hold of me. I do levitate towards Instagram, but Twitter will do. I appreciate it. I will be scoping quite a bit between now and then. Open chats. This is more of an update than an open chat. I will let people talk and have an opinion. However, this one was more about updates. So this is how you get a hold of me. If you don't want to remember all of these, just go to my About Me. It has all the information. Instagram is a great way to find what I'm currently doing. Twitter is a great way to get a hold of me. I will update that, and I will check on it often. So thank you guys for joining, and I will be joining you in probably less than an hour's time to do a chat about a destination, most likely Milan. So we'll talk to you guys soon. So bye for now.